right, everybody. Welcome to the Gildre Spotlight podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Super excited for this episode today. His name is Aytekin Tank. He is the founder and CEO of Jotform, as well as a multi-time author. But Aytekin, I really appreciate you for coming on the show today. I'm super excited about this.
Hello, Tiger. Good to be on your show. Yeah, I'm really excited as well.
And there's a couple things that I want to jump into. I noticed that you're originally from Turkey. I love Turkey. I was there about 12 years ago. Istanbul is one of the coolest cities in the world. But what was it like growing up in Turkey, and how did that shape kind of you becoming an entrepreneur?
So I was growing up in Turkey in like 80s and 90s, 1980s and 1990s, I guess. And then I actually studied computer science in the US. But when I was like in the school, middle school and high school, I actually like didn't actually have a computer. Um, but I was kind of lucky because even though I didn't have a computer at home, my school actually had like this computer class. Like I was in the middle school, I think, and there was actually this like computer programming class, like a weekend course, and I joined that course, and I was like, it was incredible. Like I was spending whole week thinking about like just what I'm gonna write, what kind of code I'm gonna write during that like 1 or 2 hours of like time I had in front of the computer to write. We were like using basic programming language, which is like a very simple programming language. You can't do much, but it was still so exciting for me, and so I was just thinking about it all the time, and that's when I knew that I actually wanted to become a programmer when I grow up. So that kind of like gave me that initial excitement, and and that stayed with me for a long time. And when I get the chance, like I studied computer science in the US, and just I really enjoyed it, and my dream actually came out, and I remember when I actually started working for this media company in New York City after I graduated. It was a dream came true, and I was so excited about it. And but what happened was like even though I was doing my dream job, I didn't actually have the freedom to actually work on the products that I wanted to work on. So I kind of started working on these side projects, open source projects on the side, but that wasn't enough for me. So I worked there for 5 years, and then I decided that I was gonna start my own company, my own product, so that I have the freedom to build what I wanted to build. And yeah, that's actually how Jotform started. I quit that job and I started working on Jotform. That was 18 years ago, like 2005, when I actually started working on Jotform, and then the I launched Jotform 2006, and the rest is history. Today, Jotform is a product with like 25 million users. I still run the company. It's a bootstrap business. Like I'm still 100% owner, and I'm still the founder and CEO, and I still enjoy it. I don't write code anymore. It's kind of at some point I kind of had to stop because when you do things in like when you don't actually have time, and when you do things it's just not fun anymore. And I could see that the people I hired were actually better than me. So but I still that initial, I think, probably my what fascinated me was actually creating something, right? And you don't have to be the person who is writing the code to have that, to be able to create something. I can still work with the teams, work with the people who are actually building the product, and I can still have that same excitement. I can still shape the product, and that's what I actually enjoy now, and I spend most of my time. still like spending my time with the product. Yeah, that's the history. Yeah.
Very cool. I love that history. I think there's a lot to unpack from this. But want to kind of unwind and go back to your adolescence. I read an article. I saw that you grew up near an olive farm in Turkey. And how did growing up near an olive farm, I know you like to pick olives. I see in one of your other articles. How did that kind of mold into being interested in computer science and
Mhm.
entrepreneurship?
Actually, I mostly lived in cities. My father was in the army and officer in the army. So, but my parents' are hometown is actually like near the sea, and there's olive gardens, olive orchards. I still spend a lot of time with going there, and just I actually invested in some actually invest in a lot of olive orchards, and I still enjoy every year going there and like picking olives, spending time there. Um, but so what I learned about that is like it's just um, it requires a lot of patience. Like it's just like uh, you pick olives like once a year, right? It's like November or some October, November, December, around that time. And so and then rest of the year, like if you do things right, then you will pick the olives. And if you actually don't actually invest in your product produce, then you get nothing at the end. So it's today, the olive orchards we have is like, my parents are like kind of they retired, and they are actually taking care of them, and we have some employees as well. And but it's about like investing in your product and then seeing the returns. I think that's what matters. And I see it the same way with software, right? You kind of have to like invest in your product to see the results, to get the results. And I have this long approach where I invest investing in the product is the biggest thing you can do. So one of the things that happens is a lot of founders, they are going to do an exit, and what happens is like the new kind of the company kind of changes ownership, even if the founder stays for a while. And what happens is that like, and the new executives, they optimize, they kind of, instead of investing in the product, they try to like optimize everything and just increase the revenues. And what happens is that it's just like that's very short term thinking. And in the long term, because they are not investing in the product, and I've seen this happen to many of our competitors that actually exited, because it's been a long time, 18 years, and most of our competitors actually were funded. And once you're funded, you kind of have to do an exit. And it's just when they left, and even though like they were kind of better than us at some point, like once the founders actually left, like they stopped investing in the product, and then as a result, like just at some point, like it stopped being better and better. And as opposed to like what I'm doing is like I'm continuously investing in our product. And even today, like we are investing in a new AI product which we are going to release in November, which is kind of similar to when you pick olives, I guess. But and we have been working on that for a year as well. Yeah, it's um, I think it's about like really investing in your service and your product. I think the service is also important. So this is a SaaS business. Jotform is an online forms business. So like 25 million users, they kind of create their forms, and then we serve them, right? Service is also about like having a uptime, like making sure your service is fast, and it has like high availability, things like that, and providing support. And so one of the things we do is like we provide support even to our free users. Um, so yeah, it's about investing in your product, and it's about having
Love
this like long term, long term. vision, like long-term, thinking. Because when you're actually investing in your product, you're actually kind of investing in the future. Even like 3 years later or 5 years later, your revenues grow in the long term, as opposed to like if you optimize something in your business, which is actually optimizing is good, but optimizing something in your product so that you can actually get more revenue right now, and then just cutting out the future, probably like lowering the future revenues is not a good idea in my opinion. Like
Right.
one good example to this is we always had this free version, and even when I released Jotform in 2006, Jotform was all free for the first year because I wanted to get as many people to try, use, get feedback from them. And we still have that free version, and free version actually has all the features, and up to like 100 form submission per month. You actually get everything, every feature, every product we have. Like we have a Jotform sign product, we have an app builder Jotform apps. We have all these different products as well, and they also have the same free versions. And this is about like kind of meeting with people, kind of introducing ourselves to others, so that they get the benefit. We build trust with them, and when their needs increase, then they become customers to us. And that has been the biggest growth channel for us, because forms are kind of viral. Because when you share a form with someone else, that they also see that, oh, okay, this is Jotform, and it's kind of it creates these network effects and virality. And when we have a free version, we actually multiply that. So yeah.
If you can go back and explain, because I know you have a background in computer science, I know you love building, but having your background in computer science, how did Jotform come into inception? Because I know obviously it takes a lot of
Mhm.
code back in 2005, 2006, you'd have to code a lot in order to create a form. So how did kind of your development background bring on Jotform?
It's hard to describe it, but like even today, like if you look at all the like the richest people in the world, like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and like just they're all like studied computer science, right? It's just it could be. I mean, they're all coming from software backgrounds. That could be it. But I feel like being it actually helps to have that like kind of have that programming mindset to successful in business, because you kind of start thinking like more high level. Like, for example, when I was studying computer science, like one of the things we did was like we would actually draw, like whenever we instead of start writing code, one of the things that was taught to us um, was like just draw what draw the algorithm or draw the plan, and then once you draw something, once you make that workflow diagram, or like the step-by-step diagram, and then you actually remove the unnecessary steps from it, you're basically like designing a system, right? So it's actually, when you're a founder, when you're a CEO, that's actually like your goal is to build a system that's very effective, and that can actually accomplish things, and 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 you optimize that system. You create a system, you kind of um, um, improve that system, and so it's having that computer science background, doing programming kind of helps with that. I think that could be one of the reasons that people who study like computer science, like people who have done programming in the past, uh, become like good CEOs later on. And I think that could be a reason, because it kind of requires that high level thinking.
And back when you first started, 2005, 2006, I know Google is probably one of the top competitors, and there's some other big names, big
Mhm.
players in kind of the form building industry. How were you able to compete with the likes of Google when you first started?
Yeah, actually, Google Forms came later. So I actually have a story about that as well. So um, when I started, there was no Google Forms. But a few years later, like, maybe like 4 years later, I think it was around 2010, that I was actually starting struggling as a founder. I mean, our business was growing, and because I was bootstrapped, and I always like hired someone if I had their salaries in the bank. So I never had that problem with cash because I always prefer to grow slowly, right? The first year I had my first employee, second year, second employee. Like the first 5 years, I only hired one person a year, and it was okay. The SaaS business is kind of like that. It starts very slowly, and then it starts snowballing as the time goes on, right? I believe the podcasting is similar, right? It takes time to build that momentum, and then you gradually, and then you see people who have been podcasting for 5, 10 years, and then they suddenly like they snowball. Um, so, but at this point, like I had a small company, but the problem was I was like spend all my time doing busy work, like just ordering supplies for the office, answering support emails, like just doing support, processing my emails, like accounting, legal, HR. I was doing everything. And right at this moment, Google actually announced that they are coming out with Google Forms. So here I am. I feel like I'm kind of stuck. And just like this is actually like very common mistake founders make. It's like even the myth, right? It's called the myth. There's a book about it, and I can't remember the full name, but it's the myth. Maybe you remember it. Do you remember that book? Uh, yeah. Anyways, so and and uh, and I decided that if I'm gonna compete with Google, that I needed to be like, spend more of my time on what matters, and which is like, continue to improve our business, our product and service. So that's when I decided that, okay, I'm gonna automate and delegate everything. So I started like, I'm a programmer. I can automate many things, and I started looking into how I can automate things. And I started like, for example, I was like I was doing support all by myself, right? Right, like from morning to night. And I just went to Odesk, which actually became Upwork later on. I went to Odesk and I had like five support employees, contractors from all over the world. And then just, I handed the job to them, and then that actually freed up so much time. And I looked at how I processed my email, like just I was spending so much time because I wasn't very organized, that I actually started automating the way I kind of organize my email, like to prioritize my emails, things like that. And that also resulted in, many hours a day improvement. The time I had, I was able to, from automation and delegation, whatever time I gained, I was able to put that into what really matters, which was like really making a great product so we can actually compete with Google Forms and the other competitors. And that actually worked. And that automation mindset helped me so much that I also not just applied to my own work, I also kind of started using in our company and teaching our employees, and also applying the automation first mindset to my product, so that like kind of I started asking like what's important for our users, for our customers, like how can we actually solve those questions for them, how can we automate things for them. And that resulted in us like just in the beginning we were looking at our product as like, okay, we are just a forms business, like people come create forms online, it's a no code tool, and then they use it, right? But then I started looking at it as a like people who use forms, they use it for a reason, and there are next steps in the journey. The journey starts with a form, but there are next steps. How can we actually automate the next steps in that journey? How can we help them with the other things? And that's actually helped us come up with all these additional features and all these additional products that kind of made Jotform much more powerful, and it also resulted in people actually staying with us more. Like it increased retention, lower churn, because like people started using Jotform for like to kind of run their whole company, whole organization using Jotform because we started adding all these additional products. Like, we have this document generation product called PDF editor where you can actually turn the form data you receive into like these, PDF files that are more durable and shareable and useful, or like if you need to create like a certificate or something, you could use it. We created like Jotform Sign, Jotform apps is like you can actually create your own mobile apps from all the forms you have and all the data you have. And we created a product similar to Airtable called Jotform Tables, so that you can actually like join all the data from multiple forms. You can do all kinds of things with the data you receive from your users, and that actually helped us grow. So, but the initial idea for the automation mindset that happened because I had to struggle because I had to compete with Google. Yeah. So that's a great question. Yeah.
Very cool. And going back as well, I know your background's computer science, and I know typically when you're an engineer or developer, I know you mentioned there's a couple outliers like Gates, Elon Musk, that are fantastic leaders and can run, really big companies. I know that you have about 600 employees. You started at, at one or two employees, just back in 2006. How were you able to kind of have that development background, but also balance it with being an amazing leader and leading a company up to 600 plus employees?
It was a struggle. I think it's about having a growth mindset.
Mm.
Um, because like before I started Jotform, I never managed anybody, right? So here I am. I only know how to code, and I don't know how to manage people. I don't know how to do, taxes for a business. I don't know anything about business and marketing, sales, anything, right? But if you have the growth mindset, you can actually learn anything. So one of the great benefits of being a bootstrapped, and I don't know how big is bootstrapping in your community, Gildre community.
Big in Gildre.
Yeah,
A lot of
okay,
fun.
that's great.
Yeah.
But I love bootstrapping because what I like about bootstrapping is it's not about this like getting rich quick. It's not about like just doing an exit and becoming a millionaire. It's about this long journey where you don't like there's no end goal of like just doing an exit and like becoming a millionaire. Instead, what you are doing is um, you're growing um, as a founder. You learn things as you go along, right? So it was very natural, right? When I hired my first employee, we weren't like the boss and the employee. We were more like a friend. Like we would just discuss stuff together. We would get excited, and we would go to lunch together, and we would talk about the product the whole day. And the second employee the same way. Like just it actually taught me a lot of things that like having that passion, like just caring about the product so much, is actually results in a good product. And when I reached to a point like when we had like a 15 employees, I kind of lost that because now like I couldn't just go to lunch with 15 other people. Like just you don't do that. And the other thing is like because I didn't know how to manage like bigger teams, what I did was like I gave each of them different like project, right? Different task. And what happened was that we weren't like as good as like when we were like five, and like we were kind of struggling to create a good product. I assume that businesses work that way. Like when you grow big, if you have like 500 company, everybody like 500 people are doing different things, and but that assumption was kind of wrong because that's not a good approach. And I discovered that that small team, like that 5 6 employee, when we were like 5 employee company, when we were like 6 people, we were actually working so well because we were this small cross functional team. So I decided that when we were 15, people that, okay, I'm just gonna divide the company in three small cross-functional teams, like teams with like, developers, designers, and so that they can actually. And I decided that when we were small, like we would only work on a single project together, right? We could only do so much. So, and right at this moment, we were actually moving to the new office space, larger office space. So I hired this great architect, and then just we designed the office space so that every team actually have their own like rooms, their own whiteboard. So basically, that small office space we had in the beginning, just I wanted to create that small startup environment for each team. So I said, and each team were kind of independent. They had the freedom, and I just gave them the goal. Okay, we have to do this. We have this, problem. We have this opportunity. Go ahead and build something, and that's and once you do that, that team working together, they started going out to lunch together every day. They started discussing whatever they are doing together, because even if you put like you can call six people a team, you can put them in the same room, but if you assign each of them different projects, what happens is that they're not really a team, and they're gonna start talking about everything else. They're not gonna start talking about the product they are building or their whatever they are doing. So I kind of learned management that way, and today, like, Jotform is still this company of teams, company of small teams. We still design our office space the same way. We have these like small rooms that can only hold six people. And when we try to put more people in, like we struggle, and that's a good thing. And we don't like design bigger rooms, so we want to keep the team small. And it's a sign, like if we try to put like 10 people, if we want to create like 10 people teams, it's a sign that we should actually divide that into two teams. And we kind of also solve the problem of like getting like multiple teams working on a same project, kind of divide the project in a way. But it's how I learned management, and this was great because like I had 18 years to learn this, right? So this is the great thing about bootstrapping. Um, let's say let's say someone came to me in 2006 and gave me like $10 million or $100 million investment and said, go, like, just hire 100 people, go. And I would have been terrible, and I wouldn't have learned any of the lessons I learned. And it's like, starting a game on level 3, and you don't know anything about the game, and you just have to play in a very high level, and you don't have the experience, you don't have the like, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes.
The
Making
investment
mistakes
is
is
kind of like a
good,
cheat code.
but you kind of need to you need to make a few mistakes so you can actually take the time to learn from them. Like, you cannot just make all the mistakes at the same time and learn from them. That's a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
So it's pretty evident why you went the bootstrap route over the fundraising route. It makes a lot of sense. Um, is there any type of secret formula or secret sauce, so to speak, on how you structure meetings effectively?
Um, so that's a great question. Yeah. So I think the structure of the meeting depends on what is your goal for that meeting. So, for example, right now we are working on an AI product, and we have multiple meetings about that. And so one of the meetings we have is this Monday morning meeting where I get together with like few people who are actually like a cross-functional meeting where we are actually discussing the overview of what we are doing and what has been done during the last week and what we are working on right now. It's a cross-functional because we have the designers, we have technical AI engineers, we have product engineers. Um, it's not We don't want to make it too big, but we want to make sure that it's cross-functional and we have everyone who can actually kind of touch different parts of the product and make sure that we are kind of and it's also like we make sure that we are continuously developing the product and making people use the product as well. Like, just I think it's one of the things that I learned along the journey is that you don't like just work on some product for a year behind curtains and then just release it. It doesn't work. What we do is like we give ourselves like only 1 month or even less to release an MVP, get a very small number of Jotform users to start using this new version, new product, new feature, whatever it is, and then get feedback from them, see how they use it, like watch them use the product, and do all those things and learn from them. And so this because all the stakeholders are in this meeting, we can make decisions, we can change course. So we kind of review like what's happening currently, and then we discuss. We have the whiteboard again, and then we discuss, and then we look at how people use the product, and then we change course. And we discovered something new, and then we decide, okay, we are going to kind of go to this direction because it's not working out. AI is something new for us, and it's just and we are trying to see like what creates value for our users, and if we want to apply those changes quickly so that our teams are kind of quick as well, and then just we want to make the changes. There is actually 14 teams right now working on this product, so it's a large effort, and they're all responsible for different parts. AI engineers are responsible for like this more technical AI part, and the product teams are like working on different parts of the AI, and so that we actually kind of see what's going on and decide, okay, we are going to go to this direction and make a decision, and then we quickly ask the teams to actually go to those directions. So, and that's kind of how we do like those meetings, like weekly kind of decision meetings. And then I also do, and I learned from this, the books I read about like Apple and Steve Jobs. It's like this Apple has this review culture, right? Kind of Steve Jobs actually would have like do reviews himself, like just the engineers, the designers actually comes to him, and they have like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and they show a demo, and he asks them to do something impossible, right? Just okay, this looks good, but this sucks. We have to do this. Like we have to build an this keyboard that works on glass, and at the beginning, like designers, engineers, like of course they can't probably say it to Steve Jobs, but they say, "What are you talking about? Like this is impossible." And then, but they go back and they find a way to do it. So I also do these like kind of review meetings and just meet with these like designers or like engineers, like team leads, and then like they actually show me like something, and then we discuss it. And so of course I can't do all these things like now that this is like 600 employee company. I can't do this with everyone, every team, but I kind of pick where I spend my time. So right now, like I am only spending my time on two topics, which is one of them is this AI product, and the second one is this. We also have this enterprise version, and how we are growing enterprise version is kind of I'm also involved with that. So I'm only working on those two things. Like just everything else, like I kind of left it to my executives and my COO, and just because I discovered that I cannot do everything. And if I try to do everything, I suck at everything. I can, even the stuff that I like to do is I suck at them because like I'm just doing so much context switching. I'm getting so much tired from all these different meetings that, and I don't enjoy the work anymore. So that's why I've kind of this, and I call this the difference between a founder and CEO. Kind of CEO is responsible for everything. I think, yeah. But if you try to do everything, it doesn't work. And I see myself more of a founder. A founder is it's not a title about just about the past. I think it's about it's a title about the feature. How can I design the feature of Jotform? How can I design the feature of our product, our teams, our company, our culture, right? That's my founder title. And so right now I'm the founder of Feature AI product, and I'm the founder of Feature Enterprise Growth for our company. And everything else, I have a good executive team, I have a good COO, and everything else I'm just leaving it to them, and they take care of them. And if there's something really, really, really like really top level, they will ask me, and we'll have a quick meeting. But other than that, I'm just involved in two topics, and I think that's required to be able to run good meetings. So those review meetings, they're kind of like 50 minutes, and so I'm meeting with all those 14 teams. I'm actually meeting with each of them, and I kind of every week I'm spending 50 minutes with them, and I'm giving them feedback, and it's also like kind of gives them so much motivation to do something really cool, because they're like kind of meeting with the CEO, founder and CEO every week, and they kind of have to finish whatever they're doing so they can show it to me. And this is actually, you know, um, working out really well for me. And I don't do any other meetings, just those two topics, and just how we drive those two topics. One of them is about like overview and how I derive those topics, and the other small meetings are more about like individual teams who are actually working on those topics. And this actually like usually, 2 days a week I'm actually spending with the Jotform AI initiative, the product, and the rest two days of the week I'm involved with the enterprise growth, and that's pretty much how I spend my time, and it's working
How
out well. It
would
wasn't
you say?
always like that. Like a few years back,
Mhm.
I was working until like 10 p.m. and it was terrible. And I decided that, okay, I'm gonna reduce my work and I'm gonna focus on whatever is important. At first, I just divided my time into like 5 topics. Like every day, I was actually working on different things. Monday, different thing. Tuesday, and then later on, I decided, okay, I'm just gonna focus on two things. Two things. And how I decide on those two things is like two questions. What's the biggest opportunity for us? And what's the biggest bottleneck for us? So for our revenues, just from enterprise is like growing so much faster than compared to our SaaS service product. So that's the biggest bottleneck for our revenues. So I'm just focused on like just making
Just
sure it grows much faster. And what's biggest opportunity is today is the AI, because AI is so big. It's like, invention of personal computer, invention of like the internet, and then the mobile phones. And that's the fourth thing that in my lifetime, that's the fourth biggest thing, biggest revolution happening is the AI right now. And we have been working on this for a year, and it's going to be a great product coming out in November. Yeah.
yeah, I'm super excited about everything that's happening with AI, and I love your rundown on kind of how you structure your days and how you structure your weeks. Um, is there going to be a point where Jotform and you as the founder and CEO will ever want to fundraise, or do you want to continue to bootstrap?
Yeah, I still apply the same bootstrapping mindset
Hmm.
today, which is like, I have some rules. I make sure that my gross margins, my cash margins are actually I never spend like I have this 25 margin goal and I never go over it. Like last year actually, like our recruiting team actually got so good. They were hiring so many people that uh, for a while, like we were actually our margins were less than 25%, and then we did a hiring freeze. You know, during the 18 years, we never did a layoff, and I hope that we will continue to have that, be lucky that way. And once the margins was actually low, like we just did a hiring freeze for like a year, and then our margins were back at where they are and still continues to do. So, I want to keep that 25%, because if I like just kind of instead of investing whatever we earn in the business, if if I instead of investing, if I just hoard cash so much, then I'm actually under investing in the company. And if I'm actually going below that 25%, I'm actually risking our cash flow, and just risking about like having this culture where we people stay for 10 years at Jotform, and having a good culture, and just never doing layoffs, things like that. So that's the one rule. I have 25% margins. And the second one is like just always having cash for 1 year salary for all of our employees in the bank. So that's like cash. Of course, we don't have to have cash. We can always keep it in investments, short-term investment, less risky, like treasury bonds, things like that. But so as long as I follow those rules, um, I feel like bootstrapping is good, and just we don't need any. So I guess the question is like, what if we had this big investment? Could we grow much faster? Right? That's always the question. And I guess like just I've been doing it this way 18 years, and I don't see the need. Right? In some businesses, like there's just like you need so much investment. Like if you're in a hardware business, if you're Tesla, right? You're gonna build cars. You need cash, like a lot of cash upfront, so that you can actually earn it later. So things like that. In those cases, like in software business, in SaaS business, I don't think there is a need for huge cash, investments. So yeah, I will, continue this way in the future as well. Yeah.
Makes sense. And another thing I want to touch on is 25 million users. That's a huge amount. There's a lot of different apps out there. There's a lot of, whoops. Are you
Yeah,
still there? Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you.
cool.
Hmm.
Here we go. There's a lot of different apps out there. Sorry about that. I had something. Oops, there we go. Yeah, there's a
Hmm.
lot of different apps in the world, and you have 25 million users. How are you able to grow to that many users? And how are you able to kind of capitalize on the market that you're in?
That's another rule I have. I call it the 50-50 rule. Um, it's about spend like even in the beginning, I would spend half of my time on growing my business, my product, my revenues, my users, and 50% of my time with my product, actually improving my product. And whenever I talk to other founders, like startup founders who are just starting out, I always talk about that. Like, just make sure that you are actually like this is a balance. And if you over invest in one area, then if the other area is low, it's actually you get less results because it's like a multiplication of your efforts in those two areas. So let's say you have a you created this amazing product. You're just spending all your time building this great product, and no one is actually visiting your website. You have no traffic for your business. Then you don't have anything, because the other thing is like, if you don't get feedback from users, if people are not using your product, you have no idea if you're actually building the right thing, if you're building a good product for them. Like, you have to kind of have that. And the other thing is like, some founders, they're gonna under invest in their product, and they are gonna be like, especially the founders who are like, who are experienced in the past in marketing or sales, they're gonna go and get all these great customers, but then they're gonna churn out very quickly. If they're good at marketing, they're gonna bring lots of people, and then people are just staying a few months and then they are leaving. If they're good at sales, they're going to bring all these great clients and big bucks. But then, these clients are also not staying a long time. So you kind of have that 50% mindset, 50% spend with your growth, 50% in your product. And if you feel like one area is like just weak, maybe you just for a while just spend all of your time in one area. And even today, I was talking about that, like how I spend my time in the AI product and the enterprise growth. It's the same thing. I still apply. I was following the same rule. I didn't coin it at back then when I started 18 years ago, and today I'm still have that rule and just spend half of my time with growth and half of my time with product. And And that's the secret behind 25 million users.
I
Yeah.
love it. And just another question too. What would you say the most common misconception of being an entrepreneur, especially to the level that you're at, 600 employees? What do you think the biggest misconception is?
I think the biggest misconception is people assume that they have to get an investment. People like just trying to get pitch their startup, try to get VC funding, and even like today, it's like it's impossible to get investment. Like just all the VC money dried up, and so it's just you don't have to actually you can actually even you don't even have to leave your full-time job. You can just start nights and weekends, just release a product, see how people use it, if they use it, how they use it, and then get their feedback. Just release it. My advice would be just release it for free because you want a lot of people to use it because all the feedback, like even if most of the time you'll give away a free product and no one will use it, right? Then you need to do growth. You need to bring traffic to your product, right? You need to learn how to bring traffic to your product. You learn it, but they still don't use it. Then you need to learn about kind of positioning, how to position your product, how to improve your product so that just try to find that product market fit. And you don't actually need that investment. You can just start small, and today it's just much more easier. And with the AI, you don't even have to be a programmer. With the no code, this was possible. But with the AI, it's just AI is kind of developing products for people, like they can actually code, and you can still learn coding. You can still kind of use AI to help you, guide you, and then learn programming that way. It's just much easier to become, develop products today. Yeah.
And on that point of AI, what do you think the future of AI holds kind of for, the tech world and then also for Jotform?
Um, AI is kind of making everything much more productive and easier to do, and just making everything, making things that were impossible before possible. It's very exciting. And just the product we are building so this product is kind of like a AI kind of this product is about replacing forms with an AI agent, AI assistant. So instead of talking to uh, instead of filling out a form, which is kind of very boring and very slow, what if you could talk to an AI agent and describe what you need, right? That's the idea. And what's great about it is when you're on a filling out a form, you can ask the form a question. You can ask the form, about whatever, if you're signing up for something, if you're registering for something, applying for something, you can ask your questions. But if you're talking to an AI agent, and if the owner of the form actually takes the time to train that agent, then actually the agent can answer your questions, right? And that actually saves everyone so much time, and it actually increases the conversion rates on your forms. It makes it easier for people to fill out forms. They don't need to. They don't even need to be on the browser. They can just talk to a form over, phone or WhatsApp, SMS, text. Um, or whatever platform they prefer, and it just works really well. And we kind of discovered this by just playing with the AI, and it's just for the tech world. I think just you have to kind of, and everyone is kind of doing that anyways, but you have to kind of try different things, apply AI to your product and see how it works. And it's just it's incredible. I think it's like as I mentioned, it's like a new revolution. It's as big as the invention of the personal computer, the internet, and the mobile phones, smartphones, and it's just going to change everything.
Super excited. And kind of just funnel back into your book, Automate Your Busy Work. AI is going to automate a lot of busy work, but if you can describe a little bit about your book that you just released
Yeah.
last, love to learn a little bit
It's
more.
actually I wrote the book when the AI craze was it was released last early last year, but I wrote the book before kind of the AI craze. So it doesn't have like recipes on the book about AI. It's not really AI book, but the principles, the ideas on the book, the automation. I mentioned the automation first mindset and the principles and the automation flywheel and how to use automation to automate, how to use the automation first mindset to automate your business, build your systems, build the automations. It became much more powerful. It just became so much more. I will probably have to like write a second version because now the like suddenly in a single year the book kind of became obsolete. But the ideas in the book is not absolute. The ideas actually apply so well to AI as well. But with AI, just I could just rewrite the book with the new ideas. But uh, so yeah, it's just gonna change the world, the AI and the automation.
Well, hi Tech, and I really appreciate your time today. Truly enjoyed our conversation. Would love to have you on again. But are there any closing thoughts that you have?
Yeah, to the founders, to other founders, I wish them good luck and just keep working on it, keep fighting, and just try to enjoy the journey. It's a long journey, and if you enjoy every moment instead of turning into this nightmare or like just try to keep it small and try to keep it fun and enjoy the journey. And because right now we are a much more successful company with like 600 employees, 25 million users. But when I look back at those days where we were like very small, like only like 2 employees and like you know 10,000 users, it was still so much fun and exciting. And it just I'm glad that I enjoyed every moment in this journey. And just I hope that they also have that journey mindset with their startup. And I wish them best of luck.
I again really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being a guest on the Gilder Spotlight podcast.
Thank you, Taiga.